we have a very special guest, Abby Tai. She is a holistic nutritionist who is the founder and creator of Eczema Conquerors, which is a website and blog which shares resources for those struggling with eczema and other chronic skin conditions. She also has an amazing podcast, online coaching program, and products which help heal eczema. So thanks for joining us today, Abby.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Angela.
Yay. So first, I just wanted to ask for our listeners out there who aren't familiar with eczema, can you just break down what it looks like? I know that it might look different for each patient, but just break down kind of what it looks like and what are some of the signs maybe for people to look out for?
Yeah, definitely. So eczema can come in many different forms. Some people can only have it on their face or on certain parts of their body, like inside their elbows or the areas of their body where they have creases, like even behind the knees. But some people also have it on their legs, and it can come in the form of rashes or even like blisters. Some people can have oozing, and it can be really uncomfortable. I know for myself, I had it all over, and that was just really, really uncomfortable. And so it can really be different for everyone. Some people might even have it on their eyelids where they'll develop redness or inflammation, but it's basically, inflammation of the skin, and it comes with a lot of discomfort as well.
And is there always itching involved with eczema or?
There usually is, although lately I have come across a type of dermatitis called margarita dermatitis that doesn't itch. But yeah, that's like a special type of dermatitis where people come into contact with limes or lemons or other certain types of foods that contain a certain compound in it, where when they touch it or like they drink margaritas or tequilas, then a certain part of their body turns red, or like they get signs of inflammation after they touch the lemon or lime and they go out in the sun. So yeah, that was really interesting to come across.
Yeah, that's a good one for us to know now that the weather's getting warmer here
Yeah,
and people are starting to things are starting to open up. It's like people be aware if you have a margarita.
I know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Uh, so thanks for breaking that down for everyone. And can you tell us, like for you, your personal journey when you first started showing signs of eczema and kind of walk us through? I know that for some it can be longer or shorter than others, but can you walk us through a little bit of your journey?
Yeah, sure. So I had it when I was, ever since I was a baby, but I just had it very mild. I just had a little bit. And as I grew older, I actually moved to Hong Kong when I was about 11. And when I had my first boyfriend, he was my first love. And then he afterwards, he broke up with me. And ever since that really traumatic moment for me, that's when the eczema really flared up, and where I was just I think I was just so devastated, and I used it as a form of, I guess it was a form of, the itching would help me release stress, and but it was also, I guess, a form of self-harm maybe, and a way to release all the rejection that I felt and the devastation. And so, yeah, I definitely went through a lot of emotional trauma after that, and my life was never the same again. I missed a lot of school, and the eczema just like covered me from head to toe. And back then, there wasn't a lot on the internet, like on
Mhm.
YouTube and Instagram. There wasn't a whole eczema or topical steroid withdrawal community. And so I couldn't find much information online, and there was hardly anything out there. And so it was really tough to find anyone who could relate to what I was going through, or even find anyone who I could meet that would even understand what I was going through.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So started out as a baby, and then you noted that traumatic like breakup you said right after you
Yeah.
went to Hong Kong, and I think that's interesting because we've only had a few guests on now, but we always go back to that traumatic experience that people have dealt with and how that then dictates your future with your health, with your relationships, and everything else. So I find it interesting how you said too, like you felt like the itching was almost not only like the eczema, but it was part of the mental distress. Like you were using that as a way to kind of,
Like cope with what was going on.
yeah, I think that's interesting just because I deal with a lot of that itching, and I feel like it's very hard to explain to people who've never dealt with chronic itching that it really is like debilitating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely. It's
So
really tough.
yeah, so I like how you said that. So you kind of look at it definitely as a holistic. It wasn't just like it was something physical, but it was also the mental.
Yeah, I'm very emotional as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love how you said that. So what would you say, so that sort of happened during that portion of your life. Was there any, did you notice then moments when it would start to get better? And did you correlate that with a specific like healing therapy or practitioner? Or was there also like a very low that you had maybe?
So when I was a teenager, there wasn't many, natural remedies out. There weren't dermatologists or doctors who would recommend a diet change. They didn't really believe in that, and there still are many doctors who don't believe in that. But the funny thing is that whenever I moved to Canada or went there for vacations in the summer, my skin would clear up and it would get all better. And I think that was partially due to the environment,
Mhm.
maybe because Hong Kong is really densely populated and extremely polluted as well. I'm not sure if it had anything to do with the water or anything else, but whenever I moved to Canada, my skin would just find so much relief. And I've heard of other people experiencing the same things, which is really interesting. So, when I moved to Canada for university, my skin actually cleared up, but a few years later, I was dating my boyfriend, who is now my husband, and my skin flared up like crazy again. And I was so scared because my skin had never flared up before in Canada. And so when I was there, I just found it so strange that my skin was flaring, and I was scared because I had never found anything that actually helped it. I had used steroids and oral steroids and other medications for many, many years, but those never helped me at all. But I just had side effects from it. And then I discovered how diet really helped the skin,
Mhm.
because one day my friend said, "Why don't we do an elimination diet and see if that helps you?" And so we did it. And my skin kept flaring up for 2 months straight. It got so bad, like the worst it had ever gotten. And then someone had, or my naturopath had actually told me that sometimes it can get worse before it gets better. And my husband said, let's just keep going and see how this is doing, and hopefully your skin will get better, because I had tried everything else and nothing really worked. So yeah, I just kept going. And then at the 2 month mark, one day my skin just, saw such a turn and it started getting a lot better. And then my naturopath also said to me, I've been seeing you for 2 months, and for the first time, I can start to see what your normal face looks like. So it was after 2 months of seeing me and helping me that he could finally see what my normal face looked like.
Wow. And so we actually have done an episode on elimination diet as well, because I completely agree that elimination diet is kind of like that first step towards uncovering like a root cause, potentially root cause or a trigger. For you, what were like the root causes or triggers, do you think, from the elimination diet, like discovery?
Yeah, I found out that my digestion was like really, really poor, and I was always really like gassy and bloated, so I couldn't tolerate a lot of foods. Um, Only when I went vegan, I found that it really, really helped me. And
Mm-hmm.
so, even things like bread that wasn't gluten free, so like wheat and gluten really triggered me. Sugary foods and sugars, even like sauces with a lot of like hidden ingredients in it, really affected me. And my skin was just so sensitive. There was even a point where I would eat certain foods and the tips of my fingers would tingle, my tongue would tingle, and it was kind of scary. But as my skin began to heal, I noticed a lot of those symptoms went away, and my body started to heal as well.
Okay, that's great. Interesting. And also, so yeah, I know you mentioned your naturopath. Can you explain to the audience too, like what a naturopath is and how that might differ from a conventional doctor?
Yeah, sure. So a naturopath is similar to conventional doctors, except instead of treating someone topically and through conventional methods, they really look at the person as a whole and as a holistic point of view, and they treat the patient from the inside out. And so they really try to identify the root causes, and they'll really be able to help the patient through supplements or alternative healing methods as well.
Mm-hmm. And I find too that, especially like a naturopath, or even if you have a conventional doctor that that you like going to and you feel supported by, I think just having somebody who understands the gut, skin, well, the gut connection to every part of our body really uh, is super important. Like you said, it was really in that gut healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you see
What I
that
find
with?
interesting
Oh,
is
sorry.
like uh with the elimination diet, you both have such separate skin conditions, but I do see a lot of like similarities with
Mm-hmm.
like you saying going gluten free helped. I know Angela, that's helped out you a lot, and no sugar. That connection seems pretty tied with skin. No, I'm the guy who knows nothing, so I like to just like be that guy. I'm just trying to like find some type of patterns or connections over here.
Yeah, and no, you're right. There's a lot of people with skin conditions who do feel better when they eliminate gluten and dairy and sugar as well. So you're definitely on point.
Yeah, for sure. And do you see, so I know that you do have an online coaching program, uh, and do you also see clients one-on-one? I wasn't sure.
Not as much anymore, but
Mhm.
there are some cases where I do. But usually, it's group coaching, and then through my skincare products as well, where I try to
Mhm.
use natural products to help people through what they're going through.
And do you find with the coaching, the groups that you have, do you find that majority of them are due to like an overly processed diet and gut issues, or what are some of the trends that you see with your patients?
Yeah, actually, I see all kinds of trends. I've seen people who haven't really started making many changes, all the way from people who have an extremely clean diet where they're eating vegan. I just recently had someone who was eating really, really clean diet, but she found out that she was allergic to cranberries. And when she removed that, her skin got a lot better. And
Mhm.
yeah, we just see all kinds of things. But one interesting thing that really helps people a lot during their healing journey, throughout my 8 week group coaching program, is that we notice that as people go along throughout the 8 weeks, we notice that the people who are most dedicated see the most results. And then as they continue along through the 8 weeks, we usually notice that they see like a big progress where their skin has healed a lot and made a tremendous improvement. And a lot of times we ask what has helped make the difference. And a lot of times they actually say that their mindset has helped to make a big difference as well. Because one thing we really help with is the mindset. And so that's so interesting how even just like the emotional aspect and the mindset has really helped people recover and get better as well.
Yeah, no, that's that I can definitely relate to that. And it's also that it's healing is the mindset, it's the diet. There's so many different layers, and we often forget about like our mental health and what thoughts are we feeding ourselves.
Definitely.
And especially with skin, because you're looking at yourself and you're seeing it, and we're constantly saying those negative thoughts, and that's
Yeah. Another interesting fact is that there was a study that came out that showed that parents of children who are going through eczema actually experience the most stress compared to any other condition, other than cancer. Cancer is the number one, but other than that, eczema comes right after that. More than if people are going through like cystic fibrosis or things like deafness or even like diabetes. The study showed that people or parents are more affected and more stressed by children who have eczema.
Is that because it's so
Yeah, that's
visible?
what I was talking to another doctor about. That might be the case where it's because it's so visible that they actually get impacted by the blood that they see sometimes, the skin flaking, being in so much physical pain.
yeah. I remember one of the episodes that I really loved. I forget the season and like episode now, but you were interviewing somebody, he's now, I believe, like a holistic practitioner, but he was talking about his journey with eczema, and he talked about like a fight that his parents had, and how his father or mother, they just kind of, it was just a very traumatic experience for the parent, because the parents felt like they were putting so much money and time and effort into it, and there still were no results with his skin condition. So then the child felt shame. And like you're saying, there's like so much that goes into it.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's a lot. And so now your title is holistic nutritionist, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And podcast host and business owner, many
Yeah.
things. But how did you, like, describe to us the transition from kind of coming to terms with your healing and your continuous healing, I'm sure, and becoming a holistic nutritionist, and what that looked like?
Yeah, sure. So, after I started dating my husband, we're still in our early 20s. And when the elimination diet really changed my life and changed my skin, I realized that, I want to do something more with my life rather than just work in marketing, because I was working in marketing for a long time. And I felt like I wasn't really helping people or contributing to the environment, or making a difference in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
um, so after that, I realized like there had been some nutritionists who had helped me on my journey too. And so I really wanted to study nutrition. And basically I was working full time, and then I was studying on the side. And I was just so passionate about completing my studies and then being able to help people and help clients. And so, yeah, that's basically what I did, where I was working full time and then studying. And then I was just so excited to become a nutritionist. And then right near the end of my program, that's where I started my blog, all about eczema and helping people as well. And back then, there weren't that many people who had blogs or talked publicly about eczema. So it was actually very, yeah, it was sparse. And now you see it, everyone sharing about it and talking about it. But yeah, back then, there wasn't much going on.
Yeah, wow, I cannot imagine like how difficult that must be to like have grown up in a
Yeah.
time where there was not really much talk about it.
And I even tried researching so much, and I could hardly find that much information about it. So, yeah, it really made a difference when just seeing other people starting to blog. And yeah, when I started making YouTube videos as well, that's when there weren't that many people. But now there's a lot of people making YouTube videos too.
Yeah, especially after COVID hit, there's a lot of people like
Oh, yeah.
they're making a lot of stuff. No, for sure. No, that's great. And can you, um, I've heard a lot and I've read a lot. I don't know from my personal experience, but as like a mother, can you describe maybe what some women might experience like after pregnancy or during pregnancy that might affect their skin, like the hormone connection?
Yeah, sure. So this is actually really interesting because my skin was actually doing great during pregnancy, and it's actually after I gave birth that I flared up. But I had this talk with a dermatologist, and I asked them, what was the percentage of cases they see where people flare and don't flare. So I spoke with two dermatologists, and what they said was that they typically see 25% of people during pregnancy where they stay the same. 25% of people actually get better, and 25% of people actually flare up during
Mm.
pregnancy. So it's so interesting. And then after people give birth, it can also go the other way around, where people either get better or they get worse. And then right after that, there's also the hormonal shift again after people stop breastfeeding and nursing.
Okay.
And also when people get their monthly cycle back, that can totally change the whole hormonal shift again. So it's really interesting. I will say I have noticed a bit of a pattern. Um, it's not really based on any research, but just based on what I've seen, is that it looks like the people who do well during pregnancy sometimes flare, sometimes but not always flare after they give birth. And then I've also noticed a pattern where people who flare up during pregnancy feel better after they give birth, but then when they stop breastfeeding, they seem to flare again. And it's really interesting. During your pregnancy, a lot of people have the pregnancy glow. it's a lot of it is because the hormones are, at their peak. And even as you go along during your pregnancy, all the way to the 9th month, your hormones actually continue going up until it reaches its peak. And so the moment you give birth, your hormones drop from like 100 to like 0. So it drops like right down until there's like nothing. And a lot of the hormones are responsible for giving you the plumpness in your skin, the collagen, the elastin. So it really helps to keep your skin moist. And so it's really affected when, after people give birth. And I think that's why I started flaring like a week before giving birth, where my skin was getting so dry and flaky and itchy. And I really believe that it's during that hormonal shift. But I remember I spent so long trying to get my monthly cycle to come back. And my naturopath, she's a hormonal specialist, and she had actually told me that we should try to get the monthly cycle back because it'll actually bring back the hormones, and the hormones will help with the plumpness of the skin, the collagen, the elastin. So yeah, we worked hard to bring back my monthly cycle.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And so many changes, and each woman, like you're saying, that it's not like necessarily like a straight pattern or a solid pattern for every single person.
Yeah.
So.
And what do you mean by plumpness of skin?
Like moist, and how some women, they have like, or men as well, their skin just looks really like plump and moist, like, and it looks good.
Yeah, versus like dry and
flaky and brittle.
Gotcha.
Or dry.
Okay. I just started moisturizing this year, so I'm out of the loop on skin.
That's amazing though that you just started moisturizing. That's great that you could go without it.
I know.
It's because my girlfriend kind of pulled me aside and said, "Hey, this is something you should be doing."
That's like my husband. He has really good skin, and he actually doesn't even need to moisturize, and his skin will still be really good.
So there's an anecdote that I had with my girlfriend about like washing my face, because every time I'd be done, I didn't like washing my face in her bathroom because I would like get it all messy. There'd be like water everywhere, and I'd have to like wipe it down. And she'd be like, "Why is there water everywhere? Why do you always have to like wipe down the sink afterwards?" And I was saying, because I learned how to wash my face from those commercials where the women just like,
they're just like,
I'm not even joking. Like, that's how I thought people wash their face. They like put a bunch of water in their hands till it was like a pool, and then you like
ridiculous.
Splash it on yourself after obviously like washing it with your whatever like soap you have. And yeah, that's just the way to like get it all off. And now I know that's not what you have to do.
That's so funny.
Without Mark. Oh my God. So we know that you have your some products, right, that you've created, and it's called Conqueror, right? Is that the name of the brand? Can you just a little bit more and tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. So the funny thing about the Conqueror skincare products is that I actually launched it 3 weeks before I gave birth. And I was scrambling to launch it because I realized if I launched it right after I gave birth, I would probably not be able to, I would probably either not be able to handle it, or there would just be too much going on. So I tried to figure everything out before I gave birth. But yeah, Conqueror basically, it's just based on the verse that we're more than conquerors, and that we can conquer anything that comes our way. And that's what really inspired me to call it Conqueror. It's just a reminder to people that we can really overcome anything and conquer anything. And yeah, there's also the Bible verse that in him we are more than conquerors. And so that really helped inspire me as well. And yeah, so I created a balm, and it's like an all natural skin balm. And and that was the first product that I ever created. And yeah, I chose like every single ingredient, and I remember working with my manufacturer, and she wanted to include some harsher preservatives and harsher ingredients, but I remember telling her that, you know, I really wanted it to be an all natural product and remain and keep the integrity of my brand. And So I finally convinced her, and she was able to make, just like really gentle and safe ingredients. And then after a couple of formulations, we finally came out with the final product. And yeah, now we've been in many different countries around the world, and yeah, it just makes me really happy to see that some people have even had their skin cleared up after using it. And then I launched my bath soak as well, and body wash, and we also have eczema gloves too. And we're also working on creating more products to help people, and I'm also going through a whole rebrand right now, so that's a lot of work. But yeah, I was just really inspired to help people through it and to really find natural products, because I found that when I was going through it, there weren't a lot of natural ingredients, and a lot of natural ingredients in the products. I found that there were a lot of harsh preservatives, and I didn't realize that that was adding to the toxic load, especially in my liver and everything that I was going through.
Wow, that's amazing. And can you describe what the eczema gloves are?
Yeah, sure. So some people scratch a lot at night, or even during the day. Are some people get really shy and self-conscious to show their hands, so some people will wear the gloves as well. Some people will also put moisturizer underneath the gloves, so it'll help to keep their skin moist. But some people also use it to prevent scratching at night.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I wanted you to
Okay.
mention. Go on.
I pick my hangnails at night
Oh.
when I'm sleeping. Have you ever heard anyone do that?
No, like subconsciously.
Yeah, in my sleep, I will wake
Wow.
up and then my hangnails will be picked off, and the sheets will be bloody.
Oh my
Wow.
This
goodness.
isn't a laughing matter, Angela.
I'm
This is
sorry. We need to get you a pair of gloves then. Period.
I didn't know because I wanted to know if anyone else in like you've ever heard anything like that before.
Did your girlfriend notice that you were picking it at night?
I tell her about it.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's just when you're alone, like if you're stressed.
That might be it. I try to like make sure I don't have them hangnails. I'll try to like whatever cut them down beforehand. But if I'm sleeping, I will definitely like peel them off in my dreams.
Oh God.
Weird.
Yeah, no, it's the itching, and that's why I wanted you to clarify the glove part too, because I think a lot of people who don't
Ah.
suffer, and it's not just eczema. That's an itchy condition, and so I think that a lot of people think it's funny. You're like, oh, you're itchy, but it's actually no, it's very serious.
Abby, can I
Yeah.
ask you a question about the manufacturing of your product?
Yeah, sure.
First off, like congratulations on launching those items.
Thank
I
you.
want to ask like when the manufacturer did want to push on the preservatives, like what was the pros and cons of having to fight them on that and make sure it was all natural? Like, does it make for a shorter shelf life or something like that?
Well, it's possible to use gentler preservatives and still maintain the shelf life, which is what we eventually did. But some people just depends on each manufacturer. Some manufacturers and formulators are just more accustomed to using, more harsher preservatives as well. As are a lot of mainstream products. You'll notice, some people use harsher ingredients or harsher preservatives. So I just want to keep the integrity of my brand, where we use a lot of gentler and more natural ingredients. And preservatives are always necessary because you don't want mold to grow and things like that. So it's always necessary to have preservatives. It's just that I wanted gentler ones and more natural ones. Um, Especially if you search the EWG database, there are some preservatives that are harsher and do have more of an effect on the body in the long term as well. Some people do argue that preservatives are okay or harsher ones are okay, but we also never know, because there's a lot of products out there that do contain a lot of hidden ingredients that we don't know what the effects are for long-term use, and also the side effects as well. So I definitely am leaning more towards the natural side. And yeah, there's a lot of eczema companies out there today that also do claim that they're natural and do use a lot of natural ingredients. But if you look at the back, it really isn't really that natural. So that's one thing that I also wanted to maintain for my brand, was to keep it really, actually really genuinely natural, and keep it safe for even babies and kids to use as well.
Yeah, and connecting back to the ingredients, I know you had mentioned using steroids. Uh, can you talk a little bit about what topical steroid withdrawal is and kind of warn people about it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So topical steroid withdrawal is basically when a person uses steroids for a long time, whether it's a few months to a few years. Some people even claim that they have used steroids for a few weeks and then they've developed it, but it's when the skin and the body becomes addicted to the use of steroids and needs it in order to cope. And then when the person stops using the steroids, their skin goes into like huge flare and almost an uncontrollable flare, and they're left even worse off than they were before. And their whole body is a lot of people go through redness, or some people go through itchiness, pain, flares, chills, and sweats is also another thing that some people get. Zingers, so some people feel like like nerve zingers, where they get like shocks over their body. A lot of very unpleasant feelings that come up, and a lot of doctors still don't recognize topical steroid withdrawal, but the National Eczema Association Task Force just came out with a paper about topical steroid withdrawal and the effects of it. So it's good that they're finally doing something about it and getting the word out about it as well.
Yeah, I think it's great because it just empowers people to know, just like you said, knowing, that there are going to be preservatives, or knowing, what steroids could potentially do to your skin. I know that I recently went to the dermatologist and they had prescribed a steroid, and I just didn't pick it up because I'm like, I just don't want to go down, and not to judge anyone, because everyone has their own ways of coping and dealing with things. Um, but it's unfortunate that people who are trained, not everyone has all of this information yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be able to spread awareness about it, because not everyone is aware of it.
Yeah. Uh, and now I wanted to ask you, I know you mentioned a little bit about your coaching program, the 8-week program. Can you just like break it down a little bit more for people who might be interested in that?
Yeah, sure. So it's basically 8 weeks long, and we've had people join from all over the world, like Philippines. We've had people join from the UK and Amsterdam. We've even had people join at like 2 or 3 in the morning at their time for the coaching calls. So they've been really, really dedicated. We've had people from the States, from Canada, and just people who are really interested in helping their skin get better. And what I love about it is that it's really a community where people can come together and really bond with other people as well. And they can find relief by being able to share with others what they're going through, and to be able to find help through it as well. And yeah, I have a person who supports me through it, and she supports the group members. And so we're always available for questions. And we actually even let people continue to message us after the 8 weeks is over. And even if we have like future calls, they can always join us after as well.
That's great, because I think the biggest thing in any type of healing is just like having a support like team and network. Like you mentioned, seeing dermatologists, having a naturopath, and then somebody who specializes with like hormones. It's important to have like a setup, and then a group coaching program, I feel like, is a nice way to connect.
Yeah.
And how long have you had it for?
I think it might be around 3 or 4 years
Oh, awesome.
right now. But I've actually been doing eczema coaching for, I've been a holistic nutritionist and been doing eczema for coaching for almost 10 years now. So it's been a really long time.
Oh, that's great. And
Yeah.
how are you feeling like on your personal like journey with eczema now? Like do you feel like in a really good place? Like how are you feeling with that?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling like I'm in a lot better place than I was when I did give birth. Because, after I gave birth, I was flaring up so much. It was so bad where it was hard to sleep. There's times where it would take me like 30 to 40 minutes just to put on pants, because it was that hard and that much pain. and just wearing clothes was really tough. And also I was balancing with managing all the orders from the Conquerors skincare products. So I remember that, at 3 a.m. I was still writing shipping labels back then and trying to figure out how to like ship things and pack things. And that was really, really hard. But somehow we've managed to do it all right now. I don't do my own shipping anymore, thankfully, and my skin has gotten a lot better. And I feel like despite everything that I went through, I felt like my healing was really, really slow after I gave birth. But I'm realizing that everyone's journey is so different and everyone heals at really different speeds. And so, the best thing to do is not to compare, our healing journey with anyone else's healing journey, because everyone is so different and we all go through so many things. But yeah, now at 3 years, I'm about 80 to 90% better. And I feel like healing is happening. It was happening really slowly, but I'm seeing more and more healing happen. So I'm feeling blessed by that. And I feel like I've learned more than if I never went through that. And so in a way, I am grateful for the experience, even though it was really tough. But I think the tough times also bring us lessons that we never expected as well.
Yeah, like you wouldn't be doing any of all like the amazing things you're doing now if it weren't
If
for
that
that.
didn't happen, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a great perspective. I know when I was going through tough times too, I'm like, okay, you'll come out, on the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
So the name of our podcast is Salsa Soul Food. So I wanted to ask you, so salsa represents physical activity, soul represents nourishing activities like self-care, and food is kind of your relationship with food and any sort of goals or any like oh my god, I cannot speak, exploration with food or like recipes. So what are some goals that you might have like this month, or even if it's like this week, around salsa soul and food? So physical activity, self-care, and then food.
So that's really interesting. I've been thinking about that a lot. And I found that having a kid really makes it like so much more challenging. And I've been thinking a lot about how to add in physical activity. Thankfully, it's summer right now, so we're able to go out a lot. I can go with him for walks. But one thing that I'm trying to do is also to get in more intense activities. I have tried working out while my son has been in the room, but then he just starts like hopping all over the place and like starts playing around. So it's been a bit tricky. But I think one of my goals is really to wake up earlier, and when my in-laws are watching him or when there's someone able to help watch him, then I'll just work out when there's someone watching him, so that can help. Another goal for self-care is really to journal more, so to really write out my feelings and just process things and do a brain dump, but also to write down my goals. So I'm really goal oriented as well. So one thing that I really want to do is, just to write down my goals. And there was someone that shared something before called the Ivy Lee method. I'm not sure if you've heard about it before, but it's where every morning you write down like 3 things you're grateful for, um, 3 ways that you want to feel during the day, 3 things that you want to get done, and then also 7 things on your priority list that you want to finish as well. But then you have to finish all of them in order to finish it. So it's interesting, and it really helps you take the time to reflect. So yeah, that's something that I've been trying to do as well.
Nice. And anything connected with like food, or
Like in terms of learning about food or making?
it can be anything, like recipes that you want to try, or if there's a certain like lifestyle or like dietary like method or theory that you're exploring, even if it's with like your group or anything like that.
I've actually been inspired by, I don't know if you use TikTok, but
I'm familiar. Yeah.
I've been finding like a lot of like quick recipes there that actually look really good. So like I found like a banana bread that was only like 4 ingredients, and I've been inspired to make it. I don't remember the exact ingredients. I have to look back at it, but it was just like bananas and then like almond butter and then I think like some sort of flour and baking soda or something like that. I have to go back and look at it, but it looked good, and a lot of those recipes look really easy as well. So
Yeah.
it's something that I've been interested at looking into how to make it.
And exploring, yeah, TikTok. I'm trying to learn all about. My nephew had TikTok, then he got it they like closed his account. He was so upset, so now he's back on. It's a whole thing. Also, I'm learning like through him about TikTok, so that's cool. And I meant to ask you this earlier too. What are some tips you can just like 2 or 3 tips that you might give to someone who's recently been diagnosed with eczema to start their healing journey?
Yeah, so two things I guess would be to look beyond food. And I know that a lot of people say to, just make a diet change and do dairy free or gluten free, things like that. But I really feel like there's so much more to it after everything that I've gone through. I have an episode coming out where there can be like up to 15 different root causes of eczema, and people don't often think about the other root causes, but it can be anywhere from like bacterial issues, fungal issues, periodontal. So, like things in your like gum disease, or even hidden infections in your mouth, or even hidden infections in your body, candida, thyroid, or hormone issues. There can be, yeah, up to 15 different issues that are really driving eczema. And so I would really encourage people to get tested to find the root cause of what they're going through, and not just to make a diet change. And also, I would also recommend people to not give up. Sometimes it can take 3 to 4 practitioners just to find the right practitioner to help people heal. But I really want to encourage people to keep going, and not everyone will be the right practitioner for each person. And so sometimes it might take, finding several practitioners just to find the right one, but don't give up, because you'll eventually get there. And I've seen a lot of people who have gone through a lot, and they spend years trying to find a way to heal. So yeah, I just want to encourage people not to give up, because they'll eventually find a way. And small steps make a big difference. And so all the steps that you do will eventually add up, and you'll eventually be able to conquer whatever you're going through. And so that's what I want to remind people and encourage them today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everything that you've said has been super informative, and you've taught me so many things about eczema and then chronic skin conditions as well. And I want to say, like, I'm not somebody who personally deals with eczema, but I still have listened to Abby's podcast and still benefit from it, because, like she said, there's up to 15 root causes, and there's so many links between or among all of the chronic skin conditions. So just to let everyone know, like, that they should check out your work regardless of what they're dealing with their skin, I think.
Thanks so much, Angela.
Yeah, and also, where can people find you on all your different platforms?
Yeah, so I'm at Eczema Conquerors on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and my website is also Eczema Conquerors. And I also have a free Facebook eczema support group as well. People can search the eczema support group for eczema podcasts and eczema conquerors. And yeah, all that information is there.
Okay, great. And we'll also put all of that in the show notes so people can
Sounds good.
find you too.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We
And
loved it.
thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah. And I hope everyone will learn something from this, and they will be on the start to their healing journey too.